about 2011 without talking about the Occupy movement. So we wanted to have a special mention for them. And it's funny because it's not like the Occupy movement has an office, kind of the gist of the Occupy movement. They don't have, their movement is wallless. It's in public. It's in public places. They bring the issues of the 99% out into the public discourse. So I was telling Sue, well, what do we do for Occupy? Like they have an office where they can hang a plaque. So Sue had this great idea where we would, we have 3 trees because corporations, they're all for global warming, and we know that the rest of us are not. And so we have 3 trees, one for the Occupy Raleigh, one for Occupy Durham, and one for Occupy Chapel Hill. Then we thought, well, we'll plant them in a public city spot in each town as kind of a recognition. And then we found out, as the occupiers already know, what city bureaucracy is like. So these trees are for you, and we are encouraging you to do a guerrilla planting under the headline. Anyway, we also have the tags in Mount 11 we water them. But they're going to be introduced by Bob Geary.
A little hard to describe the Occupy movement. And when I wrote about it this week, it occurred to me that people part of the Occupy movement, if they've been down to the state capitol and protested on the Capitol grounds, or if they stood on the sidewalk after the time when the Capitol Police pushed people back, or they've been in CCB Plaza in Durham. But really, you're part of the Occupy movement if you've had a good thought about the Occupy movement. It is a movement. It's an idea. Bo Shagnon and I came over from Raleigh together today. Bo has been one of the Raleigh occupiers. He was one of the folks arrested at the Capitol on October 15th. And good news this week, he went to court. Guess what? The cop wasn't there, and the DA had no idea why they were pursuing a charge like that, so they didn't pursue it. That's a good outcome. But Bo and I are old enough to remember protests movements like this from 40, 50 years ago even. They take on a life of their own, and they count on people latching onto an idea and then pursuing it in their own way, in their own place. As long as we've been paying attention, movements have been successful in the civil rights area, in the women's rights area. We're now having, I think, great success. We'll know it 10 years from now that we've seen it happen, the gay rights movement, but we've not had success in economic equality over that time. That's been the missing link. Globalization has kind of overwhelmed, I think, the national ability to deal with economic issues. And the Occupy movement is about that. It's about framing. It's a brilliant thing, I think. It's about framing that issue as the 99% of us who are not super rich, who are not global financiers, who do not control global flows of capital, and who are, at some level, laborers in a capitalist society. And what did Tommy Lagarde say? We need less competition, more cooperation. That's what we need. That's what the 99% is about. So if you've marched, if you've thought about these issues, if Occupy has caused you to think about these issues and you've nodded and said, yeah, that's right, then you are part of the Occupy movement. So that's all of us, I think, in this room. But there are people who are occupying a triangle of land in Raleigh, who are showing up on a regular basis in Durham, who are occupying Chapel Hill, and who've been doing it for months. They've been part of this national movement, and because they do this, it is a national movement. It's gotten attention like nothing I've seen since Vietnam. And they're doing what does my friend call it, the hard work of freedom out here. We're part of the movement, but but they're the vanguard. So I'd like to invite whoever is here from the Chapel Hill and Raleigh and Durham Occupy movements to come up and join me, and we'll all be part of the movement. And you're all invited there. Ladies.
Thank you so much to the Independent Weekly. Sort of in the spirit of the Occupy movement, a leaderless movement, or a movement of leaders, around the table just now we decided who was going to say a couple words. So I'm just going to pass it over to Bo from Occupy Raleigh, and then a couple folks from Occupy Durham, and then Steve from Occupy Chapel Hill. But thanks to the Independent Weekly for giving us this space today.
Thank you very much. My name is Bo. It fulfills me to be here, to be honored by the Independent Weekly for Occupy Raleigh's work. You will notice I did not say that I'm proud to be here. And the reason is that for 2,000 years, we in the Western civilization have recognized that pride is the number one deadly sin. And in order to convert us to an economy which allows us to think that rich people are good and poor people are not, our culture has been converted to one that has become much too pride-based. Some people think that the opposite of pride is shame, but I'd like to remind you that the opposite of pride is compassion. And so long as we have a culture built upon pride, we will have a culture that does not have compassion. So in honor of the 99% who know that better than the 1%, I'm glad to be here and fulfilled. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here with Occupy Durham and also Occupy Chapel Hill to some extent, because that's where I work, or at UNC. And I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to the Independent for getting the Occupy message better than any other media source that I've seen, and I totally agree, it's a movement, and every one of you who are here, you've already been occupying. Whatever issue you're working on, you are resisting the economic forces that the Occupy movement is trying to draw attention to. But I want to take the opportunity to tell you about some things that have been people in Occupy Durham are working on. There's a group working on foreclosures, trying to understand more about people in Durham that are directly affected by the foreclosure crisis. And we've got a really, really free market going on over at People's Plaza, which may be, as CCD Plaza. So please stop by if you can. The other things that have been happening, move your money out of corporate banks, end corporate personhood, occupy the courts, keep a full-size field at Old North Durham Park. We celebrated International Human Rights Day. There's a group, Occupy Health and Wellness, that we're trying to get off the ground now. We are looking to form coalitions with other groups looking at health issues. So please just take whatever you are already working on, claim your piece of Occupy. Thank you.
All right, welcome, folks. I just wanted to bring a couple of things to attention. One, as Jenny alluded to, I see a lot of activists out there who are already part of the Occupy movement. I see my good friend Eddie Davis here, who y'all just honored, who has been a definite activist for many years. I see the good friends of mine over there at the Scrap Exchange, who have also been quite active in a lot of their activist work as well. And of course, my good friends over there, the Sacrificial Poets and some of the other artists that y'all honored as well, because as we all know, art is also a form of activism. If you don't believe it, go catch a Sacrificial Poet performance and you'll hear a lot of political overturns and a lot of the messages that the Occupy movement has been bringing about. So that being said, I also wanted to let folks know, as Jenny just alluded to, that the Really Free Market is going on this afternoon. and as she also alluded to, the CCB Plaza, which we now call the People's Plaza. Don't be surprised, folks in the Independent, if you find the Durham bush planted there in the not-too-distant future, because when we do some guerrilla activities, we do it with a lot of flair, so you might find that bush planted there in the not-too-distant future, and as many of them already alluded to, I'm very glad that the Independent has given us this award, because whenever I think of activist media, there is no doubt in my mind that the Independent is that media here in this area.
Hi, my name is Steve Peterson. I'm with several people from Occupy Chapel Hill. I have a house, I have family, 2 kids in the schools. I have a business.
Good job, Steve.
Right. But I started with Occupy Chapel Hill because I was basically tired of yelling at the TV. And, to me, the Occupy movement represents an awakening. That our country needs a new track, that our country is not made out of money, but it's made out of people, and that growth in gross domestic product doesn't mean anything if it doesn't help everyday folks. And more importantly, that our community needs us and we need it. So I hope that this represents a greater awakening. I'm an optimist, as everybody who's an activist has to be. And I hope that it continues and momentum continues. Thanks.
Mic check. Mic
check. Mic check.
This is the human mic.
This is the human mic.
The human mic is a symbol.
The human mic is a symbol.
Symbol for what Occupy stands for.
A symbol for what Occupy stands for.
When we mobilize,
When we organize,
we work together.
we work together.
We can make it work.
We can make it work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which tree do we want?
We'll have to have a general assembly about it.
We'll have to consent.
Yes, we're going to have to consent.
I will. They're all evergreens?
They're all evergreen.
Okay.
There you go.
I propose that tree.
Yeah, I like that one too. That's the tree that we won. Awesome. Yeah. Hey.
I just want to thank the Occupy movement in Chapel Hill. They were in a town board meeting, and they were there because of the incident that happened in Chapel Hill. And they were there for other matters. But we were sitting on one side, and Occupy movement, the people came in and they said, "Back with us." And so when I got home, my sister called me and she said, "What you doing with Occupy movement then?" I was sitting down and I said, "Well, the more the merrier, the town got the message." That we had some extra help. And so, when we went back on January the 9th, the Chapel Hill Occupy movement, they were there. They were there for something else, but they were there for us too. I happened to look on the outside. The window was a big, glass window out here, and they had a huge sign, support the North Side community. And it almost brought tears to my eyes, because we got so much help. But thank you, Chapel Hill, Occupy movement, one of them.
Thanks to Michelle Alden and the Cotton Room for a great job. And I had a big round of